I am Daisy, 43 years old. I have been married to my husband Robert for 20 years. Our only son Edward graduated from university this year and is now working with my parents at their traditional Japanese restaurant. Edward is a precious son to me, but he is not my biological child. Robert, my husband, was previously married, and Edward is his ex-wife's child. We got married when Edward was 2 years old, and since then I have raised him as my own son. Edward has grown up to be a kind and obedient child, and he is now working hard as a chef apprentice at my parents' restaurant. I was deeply relieved. However, I have a concern, that is about my husband. One night, when I was relaxing in the living room as I had a day off from work, I received a call from Robert. "I'll be late again today." "Huh? You'll be late again?" "It's been like this lately, hasn't it?" "I'm busy with work. As the president, I'm protecting the company, so don't complain about it." "I'm not complaining or anything. In fact, my parents-in-law run a small printing company, and Robert has taken over as the president. In this day and age, there have been times when the business struggled due to the economic downturn, and we even received financial assistance from my parents once. However, now they managed to recover somehow and are continuing the business, albeit on a small scale. However, there shouldn't be any major projects coming in, so there shouldn't be any need for overtime or anything. About 2 years ago, he started saying that work was busy, and gradually, overtime increased. Recently, he started coming home late at night, and he had more days where he went to work on holidays. I let out a sigh, thinking, here we go again. In fact, during this married life, there have been 3 occasions where Robert's infidelity was discovered. At that time, Edward was still in his teens, and with the determination not to let go of Edward, I forgave Robert's infidelity. Due to such experiences, I felt that Robert's suspicious behavior lately was a sign of him cheating. While I was lost in my thoughts like that, "Robert, he's late again?" "Oh, Mother. I'm always sorry for burdening you with everything, including Edward and household chores. It's not like that at all. And also, the matter of money. Mother, you don't have to worry about that. I'm doing it because I want to." Actually, I started living with my parents-in-law when I got married. They are very kind people, and even when I had arguments with Robert, they always sided with me. Such my parents-in-law are mostly in retirement now. Robert always gives the reason that the company's sales are tough, so he doesn't contribute much money to the household. And all the money I earn from working at the traditional Japanese restaurant goes towards the living expenses with my parents-in-law. It would be better if that company just went out of business. Oh, but it's the company that Mother and Father worked so hard to build, isn't it? I don't care about that anymore. I feel sorry for always causing you trouble. My parents-in-law always care about me like this. What I'm worried about now is my parents-in-law. If we were to get divorced, would Robert be able to take care of them properly? Would he contribute to the household expenses? Those are the concerns that kept me from getting a divorce. Carrying such worries, I was spending my days. One day, unusually, Robert came home early. "You're early today." "Yeah. I have something to talk about." "A talk?" "Divorce me. I want to start a new life." "Huh. Wait a minute. What do you mean by suddenly talking about divorce? I was surprised because I never expected to be confronted with a divorce. Well, it's pointless to stay together like this, right? What do you mean? Edward is independent now, so there's no point in having you around. What? What do you mean by that? How dare you treat me like that? Being a mother figure to Edward. That's terrible. Once Edward becomes independent, I'm just useless, is that it? I didn't say that, but we don't have any love left, do we? Well, see? In that case, it's okay to get a divorce, right? Don't say that. You're probably cheating again anyway. Huh? Huh. There's no use pretending. When you're cheating, your behavior always follows the same pattern. So, you knew I was cheating. And even though you know I'm cheating, you don't want a divorce. Do you really like me that much? It's not like that. Before, I just didn't want to be separated from Edward. Now I'm worried about mother and father. When I raised my voice, the doorbell suddenly rang. By this time, it was already 10 p.m. Huh! Who could it be at this hour? As I wondered suspiciously, I opened the door. And there stood a young woman. For some reason, I felt like I had met her before, and as I stared at her intently. Are you so surprised that you got speechless? Huh? Then, Robert hurriedly came out from the living room. Nancy! This is no good, coming to the house. But I was in the middle of convincing her. But I don't want to get manipulated by your wife. It won't come to that. I was talking to her to be with you. No way, is this person Robert's affair partner? Coming all the way here. It's beyond rude. Oh, so you're Robert's wife, huh? Just an ordinary middle-aged woman. I suppressed my anger at Nancy's rude remarks and said, Could you please leave? I want to talk with my husband alone. Besides, my in-laws are sleeping, so it's inconvenient. Huh? What is this person? Scary. I wasn't able to bear talking to Nancy any longer and said, You make this person leave. Fine. Then I'll leave too. Huh? What are you saying? The conversation isn't over yet. No, I've said what I wanted to say, and I'll leave taking care of Mom and Dad to you. Do you even know what you're saying? Wait, you don't like it? Isn't it heartless to abandon your elderly parents-in-law? That's you who's abandoning them, isn't it? Ugh, you're so annoying. I'll be living with Nancy, so I'm relying on you for our parents. That's all I wanted to say. Bye. Wait a minute. Ugh, lady, you're persistent. We're about to open a bottle of expensive champagne to celebrate your divorce, you know? Don't just carry on the conversation without me. Nancy's family is wealthy, you know? It seems like I can get a job from Nancy's father, so our printing company will be secure. Let's be happy together from now on. Just hold on a second. The two of them ignored me as I tried to stop them, left the house, and went away. I was left alone and stood frozen in place, and then, I don't know when they appeared, but my in-laws called out to me. Daisy. Father and Mother, I'm sorry for causing a disturbance. We should be the ones apologizing. We're truly sorry. I apologize as a parent. My in-laws lowered their heads apologetically. Oh no! Father and mother, please raise your heads. I can't forgive this. Betraying Daisy once again. That person is not our child. Our daughter is only Daisy. Even if you get divorced, that won't change. Mother. Thank you so much. But we can't just let things go, according to Robert's wishes. Daisy, it's time to fight back. Huh. My mother-in-law said that to me as if she had made up her mind. I didn't understand why my mother-in-law suddenly said such things, and while I was perplexed, my in-laws shared a certain idea with me. We've been thinking about this for a long time. This is what's best for you. Are you sure it's okay? If we do something like that, don't worry about us. We're fed up with that child. We won't be satisfied until we give him a harsh lesson. I understand. I have something to add too. Actually, it's about that woman who's his affair partner. In fact, I noticed Nancy when I first saw her. I conveyed that fact to my in-laws, and both of them seemed surprised. With my strong allies, my in-laws, by my side, I decided to fight back against Robert and Nancy. 1 week later, I prepared everything and called Robert and Nancy to have a discussion about the divorce. The meeting place was a restaurant run by my parents. What's this? Why did you call us out here? If you had told us by email, that would have been enough. Can't you even send emails, lady? We can't discuss the alimony over email, can we? Wow, LOL, talking about money? You're so greedy. It's all about money for you rather than love for Robert? You're a cold-hearted woman. There's only Nancy for me after all. So, how much alimony do you want? If it's about alimony, my parents will pay. So, go ahead and say any amount. I see. Then you're satisfied with the alimony. I'll have the lawyer contact you with the specific amount. Next, let's talk about my in-laws. I told you, leave that to you. Even mom and dad must be thinking it's better for you, a woman, to take care of them, rather than their son, me. Are you sure it's okay for me to take care of your parents? Of course, it's okay. We're newlyweds, so living with our parents is out of the question. LOL, we'll enjoy our newlywed life, just the two of us. They seemed so absorbed in their own world and that didn't notice both my in-laws and I being exasperated. That's what they say, but what about you, mother and father? Well, if Robert says so, then there's no other choice. What's that, Mom? No other choice. Robert slightly recoiled at his mother's solemn face, and then his father delivered a decisive blow. You're fired. What? I said I'm removing you from the position of the president. As of today, you're no longer the president. What? What are you talking about? You and Mom don't have the authority to do that, right? You fool. You don't understand anything, do you? What? Don't you know? Father and mother are the ones who own the company's shares. Shares? What the hell are you talking about? And your father holds the position of chairman. In other words, you're just a figurehead president without any real power. What's that? I don't understand. I am the president, right? What president? You don't even bother studying management, and you still rely solely on your father for dealings with accountants, tax advisors, and lawyers. Huh. Accountants. Tax advisors. What are those? Do you think the company can just run on its own? We were the ones handling the financials and tax matters. But that's kind of boring work. It's not something I should be doing. It's a small company, so, as the president, you should be handling everything. I had hoped that someday you would take it seriously and fulfill your responsibilities, but it seems impossible. Just wait a minute. No need for excuses. You're not qualified to be the president. We're going to shut down that company. What? You're going to destroy the company? That's not right. That company is just incurring expenses. It doesn't generate much profit. I had planned to shut it down in our generation, but you told us you want to succeed it, so I continued running it until now. But it's no longer possible. Then, what am I supposed to do? Oh, isn't your girlfriend wealthy? Why don't you rely on her for support? I can't do something so disgraceful. As Robert hung his head, Nancy tried to encourage him. It's okay, Robert. We don't mind if that shabby company goes under. Huh? I'll ask Papa to help create a new company for us. Then you can be the president again, Robert. I'll be the president's wife too. How about that? Nancy. Thank you. You truly are my girlfriend. Let's do that. Robert regained his spirit in an instant upon Nancy's words. Nancy seemed deeply in love with Robert, no matter what. You're a strange person too. What do you see in this immature old man? Don't speak ill of Robert. It's because you're cold-hearted that Robert is fed up with you. It serves you right. Duh. Whatever, but by the way, is your father in favor of this relationship? I haven't told him yet, but my dad loves me so much, I'm sure he'll support us. Dad always listens to whatever I ask for, you know. Oh, really? Mr. Brown, it seems so. What will you do? Huh. As I said that towards the outside of the private room, the sliding door opened. Mr. Brown, Nancy's father, and my parents were standing there. Dad. Why? We've heard the conversation. I don't really get it. But it's perfect timing. Let me introduce you. This is my future husband. It's Robert. Future husband. Mr. Brown glared at Robert, trembling with anger. I'm Robert, who is in a relationship with your daughter. Nice to meet you, father-in-law. Hey, Dad. I want you to create a company for Robert. Right? It's a good idea, isn't it? Without noticing that Brown's face was turning red, with anger and trembling, Nancy and Robert continued speaking freely. In response, my mother, sensing Brown's imminent explosion of anger, said, Mr. Brown, please calm down. I'm sorry. Madam, my foolish daughter has ruined the precious household of the young lady. I apologize. As Mr. Brown apologized with a fervent bow, Nancy looked bewildered and asked, Huh? Dad, what's wrong? Why are you apologizing? You fool! Daisy's parents are the chairman of my important support group, you know? Huh? Is that so? I had no idea, LOL, what a coincidence. Really? Is that true? In fact, Nancy's father is a city council member. and my parents have been the chairman of Mr. Brown's support group for a long time, making Mr. Brown indebted to them. I remembered years ago when Nancy, who was still in her teens, came to this restaurant with Mr. Brown. Nancy seemed to have no recollection of me, but I recognized her as Mr. Brown's daughter when she visited my house. And as part of my plan, I had invited Mr. Brown to today's meeting, to make him listen to the conversation. Oh, really? I didn't know. But Dad being a member of the Parliament is more important than being the chairman, so there's no need to get all worked up, right? You shut up. If it weren't for these people, I wouldn't have become a council member, you know? And the reason you've grown up without any financial worries is also thanks to these people. Huh? Are you saying it's thanks to these old folks? Are you intending to tarnish my image as a city council member? Nancy was scolded harshly by Mr. Brown with great force, and completely disheartened. Don't be so angry. Dad, I don't want to know anything about you anymore. Mr. Brown disregarded Nancy and turned to face me, lowering his head. I knew that Nancy had someone she was involved with, but I never imagined it was an affair. I'm truly sorry. I will fully compensate for the damages. Please raise your head. The ones at fault here are these two. Dad? You'll cover all the expenses, right? You will, won't you? Cut it out! You've destroyed someone else's family and yet you show no remorse. Pay the damages yourself. Even if you ask me what to do. I don't have the money to pay for damages. That's right. I don't have any savings either. After all, Dad always gives me an allowance. I also won't be the president anymore. But wait! In a divorce, you can get a share of the assets, right? Take half of the assets and use that to pay for damages, right? Nancy, as if she came up with a great idea, gleamed her eyes and proposed to Robert. Then, Robert, as if the tables had turned, exclaimed, Oh! Nancy, great idea. Hey, Daisy, hand over half of the assets. Are you an idiot? I don't have any assets. Huh? That can't be true. Your family runs a restaurant and they're wealthy, so you must have assets. That's my parents' money. We, as a couple, hardly have any savings. All the money I earned was used for your parents' living expenses. Wait, you don't have any savings. Oh no. What are you going to do, Robert? We can't sustain our lives like this. Is it my fault? It's your responsibility to convince your father properly. What are we going to do now? Don't blame me. Besides, you're older, Robert, so take responsibility. No. It's because you intruded into our home that things have escalated like this. It's your fault. Robert and Nancy, driven into a dire situation, began blaming each other. The discussion ends here. We'll have our lawyers contact each other. With that, we left the room as leaving the two quarreling behind. Afterward, my divorce with Robert was smoothly finalized, and I was able to receive a substantial amount of compensation from both of them. Nancy was disowned by her father, and without money, she sold the jewelry and cars she had purchased before to contribute to the compensation for me. The two of them, now penniless, quickly fell out of love and broke up. Due to being spoiled growing up, Nancy couldn't work seriously, repeatedly resorting to credit card loans, and ended up drowning in debt. Robert was removed from his position as president and had no savings. He borrowed money from somewhere to pay the compensation. I heard that he now works multiple part-time jobs every day to repay his debts. Robert has made several attempts to reconcile with me and ask for money, but I ignored everything. He even sought assistance from my son, Edward, but he was sternly rejected. Edward had witnessed me crying every time Robert cheated, so he supported me during the divorce. Robert was abandoned by his son as well, and now lives alone in a shabby apartment. On the other hand, I continue to live with my in-laws. After that, my in-laws immediately closed down their company and sold all the real estate as well. The money amounted to a considerable sum, and they went through the necessary procedures for me to inherit it all. Within these 20 years, we have been able to build a true parent-child relationship. I intend to cherish this bond and continue living with my in-laws.